Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning for some, good afternoon for others, and most importantly, welcome to our session today on disability inclusion in the financial sector. My name is Melanie. I'm the Social Inclusion Field Support Officer at Good Return. And I'm joining our session today from Aotearoa, which you may be more familiar with as New Zealand. I know many of you are joining us today from Australia, and so before we begin our session, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I was born and grew up, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my deepest respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Australia is and always will be Aboriginal land. And I invite you all to share the name of the traditional custodians of the land that you are joining this meeting from in the Zoom chat. So today we will be sharing our journey at Good Return so far of disability inclusion mainstreaming, and particularly looking at examples of this in one of our projects in the financial sector. I'm very pleased to welcome and introduce our three speakers this morning, all of whom have a wealth of knowledge in disability inclusion. Firstly, our social inclusion champion and the CEO of Good Return, Shane Nichols. Shane will share his experience of building an inclusive organisation and how Good Return translates this aspiration directly into our financial inclusion programs. Shane has over 2 decades of financial inclusion and enterprise development experience and leads a Good Return team spanning 10 countries in the Asia Pacific region. Next is our impact investment manager and disability focal point for Australia and the Pacific, Fifi Roshandu. Today, she will share Good Return's journey in addressing some of the major challenges in disability inclusion. Fifi manages Good Return's Gender Lens investment team to support agricultural value chain financing and build inclusive economies in the Asia Pacific region. And last but not least, our financial education coordinator for Cambodia, Pak Day Uk. Pak Day is our disability inclusion focal point based in the Asia Regional Office in Phnom Penh. And he will share how Good Return has operationalized disability inclusion at the project level. Just a bit of housekeeping. If anybody has any questions, you can type them in the chat or the Q&A function. We'll do our best to get to them throughout the presentation. And there is live captioning available for this session. So if you need that, there is a link in the chat. Before we dive into Good Return's experience of disability inclusion mainstreaming, I'd like to share with you some statistics to help paint a picture and emphasize why we believe it is so important to be working to adapt our programs for people with disabilities. So people with disabilities are the world's largest minority group. Around 15% of the world's population lives with a disability. And in the Asia Pacific region, this means some 350 million women and girls live with disabilities. Where disability sits at an intersection with gender or belonging to a culturally or linguistically diverse group, barriers are further exacerbated. More than 80% of women with disabilities have no independent means of livelihood. If people with disabilities were paid on an equal basis as their colleagues without disabilities, it is estimated that the GDP in the Asia and Pacific region could increase by between 1% and 7%. The WHO reports that only 0.5% of current microfinance clients have disabilities. So if anything, these figures are there to prompt a question, and that question is, if we are not including people with disabilities in our programs, are we really fulfilling our commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals and its mission to leave no one behind? And this is a question that our first speaker, Shane, will look into, as well as sharing a little bit about Good Return's journey to develop inclusiveness on both an institutional and program level. Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Mel. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. At Good Return, we've been on a social inclusion journey over the past few years. Several years ago, like many agencies, we had a disability inclusion policy. We were collecting basic disability data as required by DFAT, but we weren't really being as intentional as we could be about identifying, understanding, and addressing the needs of people with disabilities in our work. So since then, we've taken a number of steps and we've come a long way. And today we'll share some of these activities and experiences with you. Now, we don't claim to be any kind of role model, and we're still relatively early in our journey, but we hope these experiences will be of benefit to others who are not specialist disability focused organisations and are also on this journey like us. So a little bit about Good Return. We have a mission to enable people who are living in poverty in our region to achieve economic empowerment through responsible financial inclusion and capability development. In addition to our DFAT accreditation, we hold an Australian Financial Services licence from ASIC that enables us to raise and deploy investment funds. You can see on the screen our three key program areas. We partner with socially oriented financial institutions. We also partner with central banks and with government agencies. Next slide, please, Mel. So we've developed a theory of change that articulates how our work contributes to impact on our partner organisations and the communities that they serve, including people with disabilities. It also provides evidence of our progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Our work is most closely aligned with goals number 1, 5, 8, and 17. And disability inclusion intersects with each of these. The intersection of poverty and disability, the intersection of disability and gender, economic opportunities for people with disabilities, and partnerships with organisations for people with disabilities. Leave no one behind is the central promise of the SDGs. We recognise that often people with disabilities are not included in the work of NGOs outside of those that are specialist disability focused organisations. So in working to mainstream disability inclusion within our programs, we're making a commitment as an organisation to leave no one behind. One of the first steps that we took in being more intentional was to invite local organisations of people with disabilities to come and speak to our teams and to our partners. This helped to raise awareness and understanding in our own team and also helped us to build relationships in the sector. We learnt, for example, how people with disabilities were not approached to participate in microfinance groups, how they had difficulty opening bank accounts, how they were often overlooked as participants in small business training programs. In 2019, Good Return undertook a disability self-assessment. This was an assessment of our own organisation because we wanted to get our own house in order before seeking to promote disability inclusion with others. This followed a similar process to a gender self-assessment we'd conducted the previous year and was later followed by a cultural diversity self-assessment. Following each of these assessments, we developed an action plan, and in 2020, we merged each of the 3 action plans together into an overall social inclusion action plan. In conducting that disability self-assessment, we learnt a few things. We learnt that some of our office spaces were not accessible. We learnt that our website was not optimised for people with visual impairments. We weren't allocating specific budget for disability inclusion activities. And we also learnt that our staff were really keen to learn more about how to strengthen disability inclusion in our work. And we learnt quite a bit about program opportunities, which Fifi and Pakde will speak to. We had discussions about our role in this space, whether our role was to seek to make financial services more generally accessible, or whether we needed to actively target people with disabilities. We recognised that it was difficult for a single disability focal point within the organisation to affect change. And so we appointed a second disability focal point, and we formed a social inclusion team with representatives from each unit to ensure that we had broad-based support for these activities. This social inclusion team meets monthly to track progress against our disability, gender and cultural diversity goals. All the while, we kept the board informed and engaged in the process. They were supportive, but the activities were driven by our team. We've also included social inclusion metrics in our board reporting, and we've provided opportunities to start leading social inclusion activities. Thank you. To present at board meetings. And as a result, we've now got a really high degree of board commitment to diversity and inclusion. And we've updated our policies, and we regularly review our social inclusion action plans to ensure they remain relevant and appropriately prioritised. So disability inclusion has now become an important part of our narrative, both internally and externally, and it's become an important part of who we are as an organisation. To tell you a little bit more about how we've applied this to our work, I'll now hand over to Fifi, who is one of our disability inclusion focal points.
Good morning, everyone. In general, we could see three key challenges in disability inclusion mainstreaming in the financial sector. The first challenge is the political will of our own institution. How many of you have got this response from others when you mention disability inclusions? We are not specialized in serving people with disabilities. This is, of course, what my colleagues and I have experienced when we propose inclusion programs. The second challenge is identifying our unconscious bias against disability. The third challenge is influencing the political will of our implementing partners. To have disability inclusion endorsement from our leadership is a plus. However, we still need to influence our colleagues, financial institution partners, and others in the field. This commitment is evidenced in the leadership willingness to deploy funding and resources to social inclusion efforts. Funding from our Australian government, for instance, has allowed us to influence those in the financial sector in the Asia-Pacific region to mainstream disability inclusion and address their unconscious bias against disabilities. We inform our partners that our technical assistance will enable them to be an inclusive and responsible financial service provider. We'll help them be aware of their clients' needs, especially women and people with disabilities who are more sophisticated in their demands for products and services. We also equip them to provide SDG reports to their financial authority and stakeholders and comply with the responsible investment principles in agriculture and food systems, which includes disability inclusion as one of their principles. Next. Engaging women entrepreneurs with disabilities is a powerful approach to inspire others, especially those with disabilities. I would love to share a story with you today about one of Good Returns' clients. Her name is Kun Tiara. She lives in Phnom Penh. She's 35 years old, a wife and mother to 2 children, Thorn and Ben. She has polio and uses a wheelchair. Even though Kun is a micro business owner and owns a snack bar, up until a couple years ago, she had no financial control over her earnings and was unsure how to save money for daily expenses. She also felt socially excluded and was unable to freely move around her house and shop. A couple years ago, Ratana, her husband, heard of Good Returns' My Money Tracker applications and encouraged Kun to try it. Since joining Good Returns financial education training with other people in her community, she's been able to use the app, track how much customers owe her, and see where her money goes and comes from. With Kun's savings, she's able to make her shop and home more accessible and also has enough saving to take her children on trips during the holidays. She dreams of building a new house and paying for her children to have access to higher education. You may wonder how much an app and financial education can impact someone's life like Kun. This is how. Although Kun has been wheelchair bound for most of her life, the Money Tracker app has enabled Kun to not only improve her business, her finances, and better support her children, but has also opened up her world and made it more accessible. People with disabilities like Kun have the right to be included and have access to technology and financial education. This is our little step to attain UN SDG, leaving no one behind. Next, Pek Le, our disability inclusion focal point in Cambodia, will share his extensive experience in disability inclusion mainstreaming at the project level.
Thank you, Fifis. Greeting from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I'm Pek Le, Good Return Disability Focal Point and Financial Education Coordinator. Today, I would like to share how Good Return operationalize disability inclusion management at our project level. In general, people are focused on outward apparent and lost touch with the inner strength. It is critical to understand what of the strength of people with disability to fully participate socially and economically. Women with disability like Kuntia have also desired to contribute to their society. We can access economic opportunity with a strength-based approach that should be person-centered. Person with disability is the expert on their own life. A strength-based approach means focus on what the person can do, not what they cannot do because of their disability. We should also have the person with disability discover their strengths and traits that make them unique to contribute to their society. People with disability often do not change to make their own choice because other wrong assumptions they are not able to do so. We can help them gain confidence in their own decision-making ability. I'm going to share an example of how we have adapted one of our financial education program to be inclusive of people with disability. This program called CAFE. CAFE stands by Consumer Awareness and Financial Empowerment. CAFE initiative work to build financial education skills through face-to-face training program, financial coaching program, build consumer awareness and digital innovation to achieve scale and impact in financial capability and small business management. We recognize that CAFE are an effective program in helping people to move out of poverty, but people with disability are not able to participate. If we are committed to achieve the goal of no poverty, we need to focus on most inclusive group. And it part is mean thinking about how to make CAFE training accessible for people with disability. We began this process by undertaking an external accessibility audit of the program. We also engage organizational for people with disability and have focus group discussion with the learner with disability. This helps us to understand what change needs to be made. After this process, we made change to learn material to ensure the approach support learner with disability. The CAFE program rely on small tech and image-based lesson in face-to-face training. We were able to begin adapting the program by thinking about people who maybe have difficulty seeing or reading, include changing the format or lesson style. In order to make sure all trainer or coach work effectively and smoothly to engage learner with disability, we developed a disability awareness unit it in the training of the coach. It builds the capacity of coach or trainer to understand how to adapt lesson for people with disability and how to engage people with disability to ensure that all learners with disability can join the lesson without being ignored by other learner or coach. The next, I would like to share you one story from Mahoy as one of participants in our cafe program. Please enjoy with video.
Bang ớt trăng ác nè khi nhà nhóm mà hết ai lúc ha sách bài lắm tôi nói gặp khá mà cũng rất không đang mới chắc thế tha cầm phơ tôi mới nông bạn sắc cha nên chả là ở đó đang thun nè thì plan tơ bữa ấy bốc mẹ ai nông chắc hay nông hậu tình trong quá lá ấp miếng tế tựរៀនបានត្រឹមត្រូវ
ចាបញ្ហាស្ត្រីនៅក្នុងភូមិខ្ញុំហ្នឹងដែលជួបឧបសគ្គមិនដែលមិនសូវបានរៀនច្រើនជាងបុរសគឺបញ្ហាគឺមានច្រើនដែរខ្ញុំឈ្មោះម៉ាញ់ថៃរស់នៅភូមិព្រេចស្រុកភូមិព្រេចស្រុកឈូកខេត្តកំពតខ្ញុំមានសប្តាហ៍មុខរបរខ្ញុំអ្នកកាត់ដេរធម្មតានៅក្នុងផ្ទះខ្ញុំគឺសាលាឆ្ងាយខ្ញុំពិបាកធ្វើដំណើរទៅទី1ជិះកង់ខ្ញុំពិការចឹងទៀតក៏ខ្ញុំអាចក៏ខ្ញុំទៅអត់ដល់ចាហើយក៏ថវិកាក៏មានតិចតួចទៀតខ្ញុំវាមិនអាចដូចថាទិញម៉ូតូទិញអីជិះទៅរៀនចឹងខ្ញុំក៏ឈប់រៀនត្រឹមថ្នាក់ទៀតដែរអត់សូវបានទៅរៀនចាថ្នាក់ខ្ពស់ឯង
រៀនខ្ញុំសូមខ្លាចអនាគតចំពោះលោកបញ្តាថ្នាក់តិចក៏ដោយខ្ញុំអាចជួយរៀនចំណេះខ្ញុំនឹងស្វែងរកចំណេះដឹងមកទៅចេះទៅថាជំនាញមកខ្ញុំទៅចេះtập khởi lang riêng mình ăn đó rồi cái là cô lang bằng riêng nó ai tụi tôi biết đạt ra nhiều chân nó bằng riêng nhưng mà ai tụi tôi con mà
ដើមឡើយយើងមានសិក្ខាកាមពីច្រើនជាស្ត្រីដូច្នេះខ្ញុំគិតថាការដែលឲ្យស្ត្រីចូលរួមគឺជាចំណុចមួយដ៏សំខាន់ហើយយើងគួរតែបន្តរហូតតទៅយើងត្រូវយកតបានអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់យើងម្នាក់តើយើងហ៊ានយើងមានទំនុកចិត្តកម្រិតណាដែរនៅក្នុងការតបានយើងត្រូវធ្វើយ៉ាងណាឲ្យសិក្ខាកាមទាំងអស់នេះគឺមានភាពបាយចំទៅមានសិទ្ធិស្មើគ្នាហើយមិនមានភាពរើសអើងយើងឧស្សាហ៍លេងល្បែងដើម្បីឲ្យពួកគាត់មានភាពជិតស្និទ្ធបាទឲ្យអ៊ំហួយដូចជាអ៊ំហួយគាត់ចេះច្រើនអញ្ចឹងគាត់អាចទៅជួយដល់សិក្ខាកាមដទៃទៀតដែលមានបញ្ហាខាងការគិតហ្នឹងគាត់អាចជួយអ្នកដទៃហើយសម្រាប់អ៊ំហួយគាត់ចុះវត្តមានអត់បានអញ្ចឹងសិក្ខាកាមដទៃអាចជួយគ្នាទៅវិញទៅមកនៅពេលហ្នឹងគាត់មានភាពជិតស្និទ្ធចាប់អត់ម៉ែខ្ញុំជិះតបាត់ប៉ុន្តែអត់លេងក្នុងបរិបទនៅក្នុងសង្គមកម្ពុជាយើងឃើញថាស្ត្រីគឺជាអ្នកទុកដាក់លុយកាក់អញ្ចឹងបើពួកគាត់គឺជាអ្នកទុកដាក់លុយកាក់ហើយយើងបន្ថែមនៅចំណេះដឹងនៅក្នុងការគ្រប់គ្រងលុយកាក់ឲ្យគាត់ទៀតវាគឺជាចំណុចមួយសំខាន់
ហើយកន្លងមកខ្ញុំបានចូលរៀននៅក្នុងកាហ្វេហ្នឹងចំនួនរយៈពេល6ខែរៀនខាងផ្នែកសន្សំលុយ ចាហើយនឹងសន្សំលុយទៅថ្ងៃអនាគតគឺលុយសំខាន់ចាសំខាន់ហើយថ្ងៃអនាគតគឺលុយចាំបាច់ខ្លាំងណាគោដូចជាដោះទាល់បញ្ហាកូនខ្ញុំឈឺហើយនឹងកូនខ្ញុំថ្ងៃខាងមុខវាត្រូវការរៀនសូត្រឲ្យបានវែងឆ្ងាយហើយនឹងលុយត្រូវការបង្កើតមុខរបរខ្ញុំទៀតចា
តាំងពីសិក្សាមកមកឥឡូវនេះគឺលុយខ្ញុំបានចាគឺតែបីណានៅក្រំចិញ្ចើមមកខ្ញុំបាទខ្ញុំពុតរបស់ខ្ញុំមកបាទខ្ញុំចង់បានគឺខ្ញុំចង់ត្រូវបង្រៀនគេមកអត់មានចង់បានអីចង់បង្រៀនគេឲ្យចេះដូចខ្ញុំ
Okay, thank you for watching video. I think this video is a one role model that we aware our code see about the people can do, not about their impairment. For example, like Ma Hui, if we met her at the first time and we don't know, we will assume that, oh, she cannot join with my session, something like because she is a difficulty for speaking, something like this. Yes, thank you. Just I pass to Melody.
Thank you, Pak Day, and thank you, Fifi and Shane as well. We hope that these stories and experiences have allowed you to discover a little bit more about what Good Return is doing as an organization to mainstream disability inclusion. So we've been doing a lot of talking, and we'd like to invite you all now to join in on the conversation with us. We're going to move into breakout rooms and talk about some of the challenges we may face in disability inclusion mainstreaming, as well as brainstorm some solutions or responses to those challenges. So there are 3 groups. Group A will focus on challenges within your own organization. Group B will look at bias against people with disabilities. And Group C will look at challenges when working with partner organizations. And we're going to do something a little bit different. So we'd like to invite you to choose the topic that interests you most and go into that breakout room. So you should, in just a second, receive an invitation to select a breakout room. And hopefully also you have received a link in the chat to a concept board. And so we'll be using the concept board just as a space for you to note down your ideas as a group and use this as a reference for when we come back to the plenary session to share our ideas. Just a quick tip, you can log into the concept board as a guest to save time, so no need to sign up to concept board if you don't already have an account. And if you have any issues, just reach out to one of us. We'll be in the groups with you. So let's go.
And Mel, how long in the rooms?
So we have, thank you, Shane. We'll have just under 15 minutes.
Great, thank you. Don't think we've received the invite yet.
That's strange. It seems that some people have.
Oh yeah, okay. If you click on breakout room, if anyone hasn't, if you click on breakout rooms down the bottom, you should be able to see it.
Oh, thank you, Shane. Hi, everyone. So if you're having any difficulties, there are 3 dots down the bottom of your screen. And if you click on choose breakout room, you should be able to select a room to join. Great, I can see people moving into the rooms now. I'm going to move into group B, talking about bias against people with disabilities. If anybody would like to join me in group B. Welcome back, everybody. I see people are joining back into the main session. Great. I think there's one breakout room that's still...
That was the quickest 15 minutes.
Yeah, you know people are having a good discussion when it takes, when they don't come back immediately when you close the rooms.
That's true.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, welcome back. I hope you have all, had a good and fruitful, interesting discussion. We have a little bit of time now to share with the group. So Shane, I think you were leading group 1 about barriers within our own organization. So did you ask somebody to present back, or will you present back?
Yes. So we had a really good conversation, and I was very lucky to have Annika and Debashi in the group. Debashi's doing his PhD on this topic, on access for people with disabilities to microfinance. So we really should have got him speaking in today's session, because he's got a wealth of experience, and he came from Bangladesh and worked with BRAC in this space running these programs. So I think he would be a great person to report back on some of the discussions that we had. And Annika as well, if there's anything you'd like to add to what Debashi says, feel free. So over to you, Debashi. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Yeah, just trying to cooperate with you. There was a nice discussion actually, because it's really important to understand actually what the barriers within own organization. It's really important because when you think about inclusion, when you think about empowerment of people with disabilities, if you don't understand ourselves better, I think it's really hard to organize a good program or inclusive program for people with disabilities. So we had a nice kind of interactions in that session. So Annika from Bangladesh as well. Hi, Annika. And Shen was sharing very interesting findings from their experiences. So what I found actually interesting, because one of the things that we need to focus on the understanding of disability in the organization level, because even if we have wish to design a project for people with disabilities, but if there is lack of understanding the diversity of people or disability, and still we focus on charity model or medical model of disability, is really kind of like a barrier to organize an effective program. So we need to understand what is disability first. So maybe it's socially constructed. So we need to think about a human rights perspective or other global agendas. This is one thing. The other thing is actually is the staff of an organization. So are they disability sensitive, or what kind of awareness that they have now, or how we can promote awareness of disability, because it's really important, because when you design a program or project and deliver those to beneficiaries, so because the staff will directly involved with those projects, so this awareness and also sensitivity is really important in that case. The other thing is developing partnership, because microfinance institutions in many cases have no expertise on people with disabilities and less idea. So it's better to have a partnership with disabled people organizations, or bring some people with disabilities into the policy framework and heard their voices, so that they can also provide input in those services, so that it could be more customized and also disability friendly. And other thing is, like when you design a product or project, so what should we do actually? So should we focus on the research findings or evidence-based, or we just need to change the kind of conditions, existing conditions of credit system? I mean, in many organizations, you would find that there's a static product already exists for everyone, so they don't bring any changes. But what research says, they need customized the product design. I mean, interest rate and other conditions, and also, you know, the delivery mechanism and the communication about the product quality, and also the information related to products is really important. So is this inclusive, or whether staff is communicating with everyone, I mean, including people with different types of disabilities? If you are communicating with people with physical abilities, what about how you're communicating with people with a mental illness or intellectual disability and others? Because what we also seen into the video, probably those people already probably have education, or maybe more competent compared to other people with disabilities. So probably that help them to be more empowered. But in that case, those who are less, I mean, much vulnerable, and had kind of like a different kind of disabilities, as I said, speech impaired or intellectual disabilities, how you could empower them and bring into this kind of the the process of delivering services is really important. Another thing is actually because organization needs to also showcase the kind of like the good stories to the world, because many people with many organizations in this world, they don't actually focus on kind of how they can promote people with disabilities, because they have also stigma. So once Good Return has these kind of beautiful stories of empowering people with disabilities, it should be disseminated the whole world, and it should be a good case, you know, because these also promote other institutions to be confident about people with disabilities. Since, as I said before in the beginning, that lack of awareness about disability and also the competency of people with disabilities, we need to break the barrier into the organizations level in all over the world. So that's also important. Probably Good Return could take this initiative to, you know, to award other institutions to bring into kind of this kind of projects for the inclusion. Another thing, actually, when we design a project or deliver financial inclusion services or financial product services to people with disabilities, we need to also take voices of people with disabilities, not only particular disability, also all types of people with disabilities, so that we can customize our financial product for the need to meet the latent demand of each and every types of people with disabilities. I think those are the areas in the broad scale, but a lot of things to share, but we have time limitations probably. So these are the kind of summaries that I had in my mind. But yeah, so, and thank you very much, Good Return, that you are working really, you're doing a fantastic job for inclusive society and the empowerment of people with disabilities, which is also very close to my heart and also my PhD research. So I'm very happy to be part of this. Thank you so much, Shane and Melanie.
Thank you, Debashish. That was so interesting, and many really practical recommendations and ideas, and a little bit of validation as well of Good Return's approach, which is always satisfying. I look forward to swapping roles maybe one day and attending one of your workshops or conferences. I would be really interested. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to the second breakout room, which was surrounding bias against people with a disability. So we only had 2 participants in this breakout room, myself and Olin from Good Return, I think, which is indicative of the topic as a complicated one, a little bit of a taboo topic perhaps, but we did have a bit of a chat with Olin, so I'm going to invite him to quickly maybe just give a 1-minute summary of our discussion. Thank you, Olin.
Thanks, Mel. Hello, everyone. I will share something that we came across about the challenges of unbiasedness and also how we could overcome it. But please feel free to jump into concept board and add more notes as you feel appropriate. So about the challenges, what we came across is sometimes we think that people with disabilities don't have the same level of understanding of knowledge as do people with disabilities. And we favor people who are similar to us. There's an assumption that programs including people with disabilities have to be separate from main program of activity. And regarding how we could overcome challenges, what we came across is that putting more resources into adaptation, learning about and normalizing celebrating differences, recognizing what we all have biases, having disability inclusion policy within the organization, unconscious bias training, and leave the unconscious bias training with a call to action, continuous assessment of the progress on disability inclusion, and using Washington indicators in our programs to measure involvement of people with disabilities and to understand what the impact is on them in particular. Please feel free to add and feel free to send over the chat box too. Thank you.
Thank you, Olin. That was a very concise summary. Really appreciate it. And again, I would echo, if anybody would like to add your thoughts to any of the different topics, please, you're very welcome to. So the last breakout room focused on barriers within partner organizations. And I think Tutangi from Plan International is going to give us a summary. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. And thanks also to the group and the discussion that we had. I think we covered quite a few ideas. And to begin with, I think it's almost as basic as this, that you don't know what you don't know. And that's the case for a lot of organizations, unfortunately. And so I think one of the key barriers is just that awareness, or that self-awareness about what we don't know about disability inclusion, or what we think we know about disability inclusion. And so if we can be upfront about that, then it also opens the door to opportunities for learning. And I think whenever we're working with partner organizations, whether they be organizations that focus on a particular sector, or whether they in fact be organizations for people with disabilities, I think there's always that opportunity to build into that partnership an opportunity for cross-learning, so, and capacity development, both for the partner organization, but also for ourselves. It's something that we can do together. I think one of the experiences that we've found with Plan International and the work we've done, particularly with organizations for people with disabilities, is that sometimes they don't have the same level of capacity of project management, because their role has traditionally been around advocacy, right? And so when we're thrusting them into a direct implementation role, it sort of, sometimes it can throw things off kilter a bit. And so we need to be mindful of that. And so we need to build into our partnerships opportunities for capacity development, because it's an opportunity for them to grow as well as ourselves. I think our group talked about cultural barriers, cultural norms that also need to be addressed. And I think, again, it comes down to awareness raising, and also, if we're doing work in communities, working with communities, particularly in rural locations, we need to be mindful about our approach. If we're organizing sessions in a central location, it's okay to assume that people will come to that location, but that's not necessarily the same thing for people with disabilities, because they may have access issues depending on their impairment. So we need to change our approach so that we can do things household by household. And that means then, in order to overcome that, we need to do a bit more proper planning, or a bit more thinking into when we're planning projects and so on and so forth, so that we can build these things in. We can also build in time, effort, but also the finances required to be able to do a proper job. Our group also talked about the importance of data collection, and making sure that when we're going out and collecting disaggregated data, that we're also mindful about the different impairments that people might have, so that our data collection is as thorough as possible. Also, we heard yesterday one of the speakers talking about local expertise. That's something that we can also build in to our partnerships, and particularly with partner organizations, and sort of leaning into some of that a bit more, because as we heard yesterday, context is everything. So these are some of the issues that our group talked about, but if I've missed anything, others from the group, please feel free to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tutangi. That was a really interesting summary. And yeah, I agree. There are so many opportunities and for peer learning, including the workshop and presentation today. So we hope that this is the beginning of a conversation that can continue into the future. I'm just very conscious of time, and I think we're just about in the hour. So I would like to thank everybody on behalf of Good Return for attending our session today. Thank you for your time. And thank you for your willingness to share your experiences and your past learnings with us. And we really welcome you to reach out if you want to discuss anything further or have any questions. And yeah, I think this is really a great opportunity to capitalize on peer learning opportunities and work together to mainstream disability inclusion in our programs. So thank you very much, and kia ora, enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And feel free to reach out, as Mel said, to any of us at Good Return, and in particular, the addresses on the screen. Look forward to seeing you around at conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Debashis.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Bye.
Debasi.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for your support.
No, thank you. That was a great session. Thanks. That was yeah, really interesting. I'm sort of aware of your work, but it's good to see actually it's sort of played out and some real life examples. That was fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Good luck
Thanks.
with the rest of the conference.
Thank you
Likewise.
to the captioners. Thanks, Bonnie and Jack, for captioning.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jack. Awesome.
Take care.